Hello, hello, hello. Coach Tay here back again with another video. This time we're going to be analyzing DoinB's solo queue adventure here with Ryze into Sylas. It's going to be a little bit more of a deep dive into how certain matchups work. And one of the reasons why this is so important again is because I do a lot of emphasis, and I have a lot of emphasis towards creating initial game plans so that people actually have a structured approach to the game. Because if you don't, you're really just trying to play the game out, and maybe you're trying to go for more of a mechanical, approach, or just something that I don't think has much value. When you should be thinking about the game, because if you're thinking about the game and your moves, your rotations and your clicks, they all make sense. They'll have purpose towards them. Then you're just gonna set yourself up to succeed, sort of thing. Okay. But with that being said, we are gonna get straight into it. Not too much to talk about in the disclaimer end of things, but we are going to talk about the 5v5 because again, it's all about initial game plans, right? So set up the 5v5, think about the game, and proceed with the first, three waves type thing, and hopefully that carries you through how you can get, early game leads. Okay. So, Ryze into Sylas. First off, I do like to talk about the other lanes and how they operate. This is more or less like this. And then that way we can understand what exactly we need to play, and especially our role as Ryze in this game. And then that will subsequently get into why Ryze took Comet over Phase Rush. And Phase Rush is good against these champs, and also good against the slows that are going to come out from Yuumi. But, okay, so here we go. Xin Zhao into Rek'Sai. Both champions are fairly aggressive earlier on. They both would ideally like to, gank, skirmish, fight type thing. Both champions took Conquer. No one really take Hill Blades. And then, so we want to make sure that we're giving Rek'Sai a lot of our love, so to speak, in terms of how Ryze wants to play out this early game. With that being said, we take a look at bot lane. Really, really important to note that Alistar has the hard counter matchup into the Sivir. Obviously, the spell shield coming in from Sivir doesn't really give too much, leeway, because Alistar is going to be able to, pummel and Q and W and W and Q, sorry, pretty easily, pretty freely, and I don't think you can really dodge that. I don't think you can use your E, use your spell shield as Sivir in this case. So we have a roughly free scaling lane for the Twitch if they want to choose to do so, and we have an Alistar who can roam over the Yuumi. Okay, so you do want to make sure that we are going to get some sort of early game lead playing around this Alistar, if we're Alistar, right? And then these guys just really want to make sure they're holding down their base, right? They don't want to get dove, they don't really want to die, they just want to get 10 assists per minute type thing, if they're able to. Because they do win level 1. So these guys win level 1, they get to push into the enemy bot lane, if they want it, okay? And the top lane, Azir into Wukong, I believe. I think Azir does get priority in this lane against ranged into melee. It's a topic that is very, very important to know, especially if you are beginning out, from anywhere from Iron to Diamond 2. You want to make sure that you understand range matchups very, very heavily, because at that point you're going to be able to understand why certain matchups win and why certain matchups lose. Okay, in the department of range versus melee, anyways. So these guys get pushed mid, and obviously when you take a look at this, if you're Rek'Sai in this case, okay, so you have priority. As Rek'Sai, you only have priority mid because of Ryze hard weeding against Sylas level 1. As long as nothing with E is going to be used from Sylas, like if Sylas lands an E, it might be a little bit awkward, and if trades are even, it might be a little bit more awkward. But as Rek'Sai, you don't really have side lane pressure to play around. And if you took a look at the video that I posted just a little while ago, the Master Challenger initial game plans video, we do see in that case that Selfmade doesn't really have any pressure to play around. Okay, and Rumble in this case is much faster clear and can utilize Raptors and can utilize his AoE damage very, very significantly. This poor grammar, but significantly better than Rek'Sai for any sort of purpose. But we do have a 7 Grace here with the Ryze mid lane, so we do want to make sure that Ryze is using his priority some sort of sense in order to gain vision. And in games that you're playing for in solo queue, you do want to make sure that you understand how lanes work, because if certain lanes get priority, like if both sides are losing priority, you want to make sure you're helping out your Rek'Sai, because it's a lot of the time and this happens even in Master Games, this jungler will path straight into the Xin Zhao and then fight them at Scuttle, and then we'll just lose the game. And then they will screaming FF15, my laners suck, when in reality his pathing sucks. And again, it could be the fact that the mid laner isn't really helping out, or someone's not really helping out, but just make sure that at the end of the day, if you're just thinking about this, just think about priority, because it's really, really important we do that, okay? But we see Ryze take Comet. Okay, again, Comet versus Phase Rush in this matchup. I don't think you can really take Conquer in this game. It's going to be very hard to stack it up earlier on. There's a lot of threat that comes right in at you. You do have the Alistar for the peel and the Wukong for peel. But you are relatively short to mid-range. Although Conquer might be a little bit better in the side, the split. But I think Phase Rush at that point is just 10 times better for you to take it, because you're going to have a lot more value out of it in the early game as well as mid to late. So I think the only two options here are Phase Rush and Comet. But Comet means you're going to be playing hard for dominance, okay? DoinB wants to take Comet in order to secure priority, because every single time he uses an ability, level 1, it's doing closer to 100, 110 damage, especially when he's taking Scorch. And he also has Cheap Shot, I believe. And so when you combine those, all those together, you're getting a very, very strong level 1, okay? And in this lane, it's really important to get that priority so you can help out your jungler as much as possible, because Rek'Sai really only has mid to play around, okay? So things to note again, Ryze and DoinB in general is a player and a champion that wants to play for the map. When you think about mid laners, you don't really think about DoinB as being someone who is more or less a pristine laner, okay? He's not really competing with Chovy or Knight or whatever. But nonetheless, he is starting tier in this lane. I think that's fine. You can get a cheater if you ultimately want to, but it's also going to make sure that you have a little more mana to use. Again, you could take Darkseal and Refillable. I think that would also be fine. But Darkseal in this game is going to give you a lot of value, because you take a look at what's going on in this 5v5. Alistar's roaming. You have a very, very aggressive top side. Ryze at 6 is going to want to move quite a bit. You're going to get a lot of value from Darkseal, because there's going to be kills, okay? This game, there's going to be kills. Okay. Now this is a bit awkward. Again, we do have Wukong covering this, but now Rek'Sai is warding for this invade, or this potential, I guess, Xin Zhao coming to invade him at his wolves or his Gromp or something like that, which is fine, I guess. But when you're choosing what to do as Rek'Sai in this game, I do think you want to maybe path into top, because pathing into bot, you're just going to lose priority, and I think Xin Zhao does want to play towards his bot side and leave Azir weak side, because Azir has a lot of escapes and doesn't really need to be influenced too heavily, because he can just get that ward down and then play around his EQ. And then Rek'Sai just like, okay, I can't really gank here. Okay. But again, if a skirmish does break out, I think that top side is very much better off. Especially because the way the wave works bot side is, your chances are you're going to get a little bit more of a what's it called, of a disadvantage, I think, if you do path in a bot. You'll have health disadvantages, hopefully, because hopefully Sivir and Yuumi will be able to hard abuse them. Again, the same thing could be happening for top. It's just that top, I think, has a little bit more agency level 1 with threat from E. And you're going to be able to have a little more sustain, I think. I just think it's easier to play around your top in this case, but ultimately you do want to play around your mid as much as you can. Okay, so Rek'Sai is starting bot side. He did ward this over here, which is a little bit awkward. It's only really going to help you if you want to full clear bot side and then, come into top, because at this point Xin Zhao could come at wolves. But you do have priority from mid, so Xin Zhao looking to invade is a little bit awkward. But we'll get straight into the laning phase. Already at this point, Ryze, what he wants to do is he wants to find out if Sylas took Q or E. We see Sylas took Doran's Ring. I think this is a bad idea. I think, again, this game is going to have a lot of kills either way. You do have Ignite, so your 2v2 is a little bit stronger in that regard, but you will probably get poked out quite a bit from the Comet. So I think Sylas here, his options were either Corrupting Pot or a Darkseal. Either way, I think Corrupting Pot's a little bit better, because Ryze wants to, punish you as much as he can earlier on. And so if you want to keep up with that and you want to try and match that just a little bit better, you can take cookies and corrupting pot, and that'll allow you to stay healthier. Because again, when you're thinking about fights that are happening early on, you want to be up here, right? You want to be up here as much as possible. And if Ryze is able to poke you down and keep you down over here in this range, not only can they try and dive you, but they can also, if he's up here and you're down here, they can move, right, a lot easier. And then if you follow, obviously you're really, really low. But I think already at this point, he wants to layer the minions. So he gave the auto to that one minion, and then he's going to look to auto twice on another minion, probably, just to layer. Yeah, so he's going to layer the minions. And at this regard, I think at this point, he needs to move up just a bit. Because if you move up, you stop Sylas from ever trying to come up. The only problem with this, obviously, is that you're going to look to potentially get eat on. So in that regard, you do want to wait until you hit one or two minions that you do have more minions to work with than him. So at this point, I think he's making a little mistake. I think you can position a little bit more aggressively, and then as soon as Sylas looks to E forward, that's when you move back in. So again, move up. Sylas is moving back, and then if he moves up, you just move back as well. Okay, so here's that early ward we were talking about. Does this ward give too much information? It does stop from a level 2 cheese. If Xin Zhao was looking to do red straight into mid, which is, I guess, potential. It is a potential it is a potential play to set up to look to invade, because you do have prio bot, you do have prio top, and you're going to be able to go like this as Xin Zhao possibly, and then invade Rek'Sai at his top side, where Azir should be able to get level 2 first, secure 3-wave shove, and then move into bot side, or sorry, into red side Rek'Sai. So as soon as we know Sylas starts Q in this lane, I think he needs to play a little bit more aggressively. So right now he's a little bit scared that Sylas could be starting E, because if he were to E him like this, he could try and fight aggressively. Again, he does have Comet and Mana Flow bans, so it might be a little bit int from Sylas to do so, but as soon as he Qs, this click backwards that Ryze is giving is really, really bad. You need to step forward because you've slowed him, first of all, but also you're missing out on autos, and as soon as Sylas walks up to try and get this minion, you just need to continue to go. So this is good by him. Auto, he's going to get 3 autos in, very nice. But at this point, you're thinking to yourself, okay, Xin Zhao is probably pathing like this in towards his top side, so we need to hug bot side pocket. Because there is a case that Xin Zhao does some weird, sort of red into top side, but he just skips this entirely and just ganks from over here. I've had that happen to me before, and it's just kind of cringe, but stuff like that can happen. I don't know if DoinB is like streaming with a delay. If he's not, then you can obviously see him. But I like this aggression even more. I think that he could probably give a little bit more aggression with this and punish Sylas for trying to go for CS. Because this CS is about to die, and I think you should step up even more. Because he doesn't have E, and you don't have minion aggro. So this is good. Okay, he's dropped aggro now. Once you've dropped aggro, you move back. Okay, you move back. Like, standing back here doesn't do anything for DoinB, really. So in your games, you want to make sure that you pay attention to what Sylas or what your enemy mid laner has, as well as where the enemy jungler could be. Because we know he didn't start topside, we know he didn't start blue, and we know that if he started red, he's probably doing this, or he's just going and heading straight topside. But in any regard, we're going to see him. And, wait. Did he just invade? Okay, so he invaded... Wait. No, he had to invade it, right? I think he invaded Rek'Sai's red buff, right? Okay, I don't think he dies here. I think you can burn flash, or... Oh, wait, actually. I want you to pay attention to bot. If Sivir and Yuumi moved right now, Ryze might die, because they have first move, obviously, right? But he's holding on to flash because he sees that that Yuumi and Sivir aren't moving. So he's like, okay, I'm kind of chilling. Rek'Sai's going to come here, and they're going to try and take Raptors now. Nice. So again, this is more or less a forced play. Normally this wouldn't have happened if Xin Zhao wouldn't have tried to look for this. But again, this is something that you should look for. If you are, if you're playing in a lower elo game, the Rek'Sai might not look to invade, but you do see that your bot lane is moving, and they are level 2. So they're probably level 2 against level 2. You have an Alistar. You guys are going to hard win this. Always think a little bit every time, you know, a play is happening. And Sylas actually didn't let the wave crash. Okay, so he has Q. Again, he just used it so he can play up a little bit more. This wave is a little bit awkward. I do think hard shoving this is something that we shouldn't look to do. We should try and time it for the next wave to come because we do like this much safety. Again, so if we can stay right here for as long as possible, I do like it, and then play around this wave because if we shove this, we might look at the wave being over here, and we don't really like that. So we see Xin Zhao at this point. I think they're going to try and set up a dive. Yeah, they're going to try and set up a dive. This is a very smart play. Sylas still has flash though. Xin Zhao is still on blue. They need to shove this now. Shove, 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 shove. Okay, they've got like 5 seconds to pull this off. Right? No, I don't think Rek'Sai could have flashed there. I think maybe Rek'Sai could have flashed. I think if Ryze is the one to do this, it's very awkward. But obviously, if he does get that EW, is a nice try by DoinB. He's going to be able to obviously get that kill. But they do end up getting the kill anyways. It's just that Xin Zhao now gets to trade 1-for-1. Who is this better for? I do think that this, at the end of the day, was better for DoinB's team, right side, because you take a look at top wave, is actually frozen perfectly. Azure just had to burn TP. Xin Zhao burned flash. The only bad thing about this, obviously, is that we don't have flash, okay? The things to note, Xin Zhao is going to share experience with Azure. Shared experience is obviously something you don't want. And then Sylas had some, you know, he's going to lose pretty much a wave in a little bit. But we do see that Ryze is level 3, so is Sylas. But Ryze here is actually going to pick up this wave. And I think the pocket he's playing is int. I think the way he's doing this is int. Okay. So walking up like this over here is bad. The reason why it's so bad, so we know that Xin Zhao just did Raptors. Okay. So he did Raptors and he's going to go clear in a topside scut. Right? Or he could just go and clear in a bot side scut. The reason why I think he's going to do topside scut is because if he does top scut, he has his top camps go clear. And then he can look to just base at that point, right? And then he can go back to his rubber band. That Raptors should be back up. He can go Krugs into Raptors and then go clear up towards topside if he wants to. Again, he wants to make sure, I think Xin Zhao's case, he wants to make sure he's playing around mid here because DoinB already has a lead. And obviously, when you're playing as a pro player, who's in a matchup that he's already got a little bit of a lead, you want to make sure that you're shutting him down as much as you can. And when you also think to yourself, okay, they have an Alistar, they have a Rek'Sai, they have a Sylas, they want to look to play on this Ryze. Let's just make sure that we're helping out Sylas, okay? So far, DoinB is doing a relatively decent job. He could be doing better in the laning phase. He is quite far ahead. What is he going to buy, though? I think best buy is Boots, Dark Seal, Pink. But instead he's going to go for a Mana Crystal. I don't think this is the best buy because Dark Seal is going to give you mana, okay? And in a game like this, there's a lot of action going on, already as is. You've seen a lot of flashes come out. Again, mid doesn't have flash. Or sorry, mid has flash. But this is something you want to play around. Okay, so right now what they're doing with the wave is kind of awkward. If he's going to queue this, I don't like this at all. Rek'Sai here is wasting a lot of time because bot side camps are coming up momentarily, so I think he's wasting a lot of tempo in terms of where he should be. And topside scut should have already been taken, especially because you see this ward over here. You can assume that Xin Zhao went towards topside to go clear that, right? So I don't like this unless you're trying to make a play. Like unless you're trying to roam right after pushing this wave, or if you're trying to set up some sort of dive again like that, what happened before. I don't like this whatsoever. Okay. This just is kind of awkward because Ryze doesn't have flash in this sense. And if we take a look here, I think the wave is actually pushing into DoinB. Okay. So why is it so important? Because if we have this wave state over here, and it's frozen over here, we're really, really happy as Ryze because one, we don't have flash, but two, we're going to hit level 6 first. which means that if we time the 530 wave perfectly, so the next two waves we just kind of freeze right here, and then we commit to a shove, like a slow push into a stacked wave, and then we add in another wave, which is probably the 50 minute, or oh my goodness, the 5 minute wave that comes. Okay, we're going to shove that wave, we're going to look to base, and then we're going to get 6 off the next wave. Okay, what that means for us is obviously Sylas is going to try and base to match the gold buy, and then we can then look to shove that wave that's going to be right here. It's going to be a cannon wave, and then we can go look to dive, right? The only way that this works out is if obviously you look to dive and deny these minions, because right now you're not going to deny these minions unless your Rek'Sai comes. Bot laners are still bot. Nothing's really going to happen from top. We know Azure doesn't have TP, which is very nice, obviously, but I don't think this is really going to help too much. You're not really denying anything as Ryze in a matchup where you actually get outscaled. The Sylas will ultimately outscale you. So we're fine looking for some aggression. Again, I don't like this too much. Like, Rek'Sai still has bot side camps. I guess Yuumi just died, but at this point, I think the play is bot. Okay, Sylas still has flash, and we don't know where Xin Zhao is at all. This is super int, I think, right? We don't know where Xin Zhao is. Like, if I'm thinking to myself, it's 450. Okay, so they get the kill. Sylas doesn't even burn flash. Okay, so if I'm thinking to myself, Xin Zhao is at Scut right now. He's doing Scut, okay? They're actually pinging it right now. They're at Scut. Okay, so we fast forward a little bit, a minute. So in a minute's time, we could have said Xin Zhao cleared... there's a couple of different scenarios we could have here. Xin Zhao could have cleared Scuttle and then cleared his topside camps and then tried to have cover this dive as soon as they saw that they were trying to hard shove this wave. Number two, he could have done Scuttle and immediately based. In that case, he would have been at his Wolves or something like this. He would have his Gromp. But either way, if the Xin Zhao is smart, and if this is competitive, they're telling themselves, hey, wait a minute, they're stacking this wave. A really important thing to note, if you're playing against a good player, like a Smurf, who's obviously like really good, if they're stacking waves and they're dude with their jungler, chances are they're trying to dive you, okay? Really important to note, I don't know if you play too much competitive, whoever's watching, but if you do see this happening, chances are they're going to try and dive you, okay? Because the other scenario is, again, that freeze right there where you play a little bit slower and you try and convert your lead into a level 6 tempo base, which you then come back to mid lane, and then you try and go towards bots or play with your Alistar, who's in the counter matchup, okay? But here at this point, I think Xin Zhao, if he were to have gone Scuttle into Gromp into Wolves, he would be here to cover this. Doesn't have flash, doesn't need it, but Sylas could just burn flash. Like, again, instead of walking up like this, like kind of int, he just kind of sits back, waits for Xin Zhao to come, and then he baits, okay? But this is just kind of int. I don't think this ever really works out in a competitive scenario, given the circumstances in the game right now, okay? So I don't really like this decision by DoinB, but it does end up working out. But just because it ends up working out doesn't mean that it was a good decision, okay? The second thing to note, again, if we took Dark Seal, we would have more value right now, okay? Oh, did we just see Xin Zhao? Okay, so we saw Xin Zhao bot. Press tab. Press tab. Okay, so 23 CS. I think he just cleared Krugs. Okay, so 23 minus 4, he's at 19. Minus 4, he's at 15. Minus 4, he's at 11. Okay, and if we look back, just remember this sequence. If we look back, again, I know, if we look back to over here, after that play, he was at 11 CS. So we know, oh crap. We know that DoinB, or we know that Xin Zhao did 1, 2, 3 camps. And we know that this third camp up here was Krugs, okay? So it's really important to note that, or sorry, that could have been, because that Krug camp wasn't finished, so he could have just been finishing it right away. So maybe it was closer to, like, I don't know, maybe after he finishes, actually, let's take a look at after he finishes. If we can see him at all. Let me see you. Oh, we can see him here. So we know he did red, so that's an extra camp. Okay, so 31. Okay, so 31, which means he did red, Krugs, Scut, Gromp, and Wolves, right? So 31, counting backwards, minus 4, it gives us 27. Ooh, yikes, 27 minus 4 gives us 23. Minus 4 gives us 19. Minus 4 gives us 15. Minus 4 gives us 11. Right, making sure my math is quick and is good there. 31, 27. Wait. Yeah, that's the minus 4. Minus 4, minus 4. Right? So we did 1. So this was red buff. This is red buff. This is Krugs. This is Wolves. This is Gromp. This is Scut. Okay? So it's really important to note that was his scenario. Again, you could roughly understand that he did do Scut, Gromp, Wolves. So when they dove this, he was actually at Wolves, or he had just based, and I really don't like that. When they made this play, he had either just based, which if he based really int, or he had just finished his Wolves and he just didn't want to come. In either case, I think this is really int. Okay, really int by Rek'Sai, or sorry, by Xin Zhao. So no good. That's why the dive is bad ultimately, because he is at Wolves right now. Okay, so they do have this play right here. Quickly talk about this play. So he comes back from lane. No flash. Sylas does not have flash either, I don't think. Oh, no. No, Sylas doesn't have... Oh, Sylas still has flash. Okay, Sylas still has flash. Alistar just base, so he could come mid here. Rek'Sai is looking like he wants to play. Alistar finally starts to move. A little bit too late, I do think. And they actually knew that they were here. They're picking this out. If you look over this ward... So his decision, once he sees him, is I'm going to bait. I'm going to bait. I'm going to bait. I'm going to bait. This decision's all right. Rek'Sai is level 5. Okay, Rek'Sai is level 6. So this is a good decision, I think. They can play around this. We have Sork Boots. Now, obviously, we do look to play it out. And, okay, so the reason why it didn't work out, obviously, is because Rek'Sai didn't get the ult off. They got CC'd very perfectly. Rek'Sai got CC'd very perfectly. The CC chain setup was very good. DoinB then tries to ult. I think this ult is really bad. I think, again, you do have damage that you are going to look to try and play with, but I don't think Alistar is going to be the deciding factor in that 2v2. It could be a little bit coin flip. And I each want to get the wave out. So he should come back. Yeah, Alistar should come back and try and push this wave in. Another thing to note here, bad wave states do not help you at all, right? They actually quite mess up really bad. So Xin Zhao could come back here, right? And the reason why this is so bad if Sylas eats forward is Xin Zhao comes back and then no bueno, okay? So Alistar showing up here just needs to help you push this in. Okay, so Sylas actually shows up with Yuumi, and now we know Xin Zhao could come back. I would think to myself that Xin Zhao would actually look to go for Raptors, considering you have Sylas and Yuumi, and then you have Azure coming down. I'm pretty sure Xin Zhao would actually be at Raptors right now. If he's not, I'd be quite shocked. Yeah, I don't even think Rek'Sai should go to these. Okay, and of course I'm completely wrong. So Rek'Sai didn't get punished. Xin Zhao did not look to try and take Raptors, even though he can take the quite fast with the Iron Whip, as well as his W and his E. I don't quite know why he's not looking to take it. His Azure had priority, and obviously Yuumi was there. So something that was looking to get punished, obviously didn't get punished. This is also something that you should start to do in your future games. If you are playing a champion that can take blue buff sufficiently, as soon as you clear waves mid, you can then go look to rotate and clear camps that your jungler is not on the same side of. This is something that DoinB does quite well, especially when you're considering how much CS he normally has. We'll probably see him take some wolves at some point. The only problem with this sort of thing is that instead of using your time to go and maybe roam, which obviously he can't do too well right now because A, he doesn't have ult, but B, he doesn't have flash, and he doesn't have TP. So it's a little bit awkward, but if you can, especially if your Rek'Sai is pathing topside, you can go and look to go and look to take your jungler's camps, okay? He's just going to probably take blue, go back to mid. It's a little bit awkward to go through this river right now because Xin Zhao could be at Raptors, but I don't think this is going to be warded at whatsoever because, again, enemy is a Yuumi. Support doesn't have item yet, I don't think. Doesn't have wards. Rek'Sai still looking to try and play mid side. They might look for another dive, or they might look to invade top side, but I think invading top side does nothing because at the end of the day, I think he just clears top side camps. So Sylas went for an all-in. I don't really like this again unless Xin Zhao is nearby from the Sylas. I think this is good by DoinB to try and bait this out because he probably knows he can't really die here. But he would have died obviously if Rek'Sai if Sylas would have used Rek'Sai ult. So he tries to bait this. He's trying to do this quite often. He doesn't really care if Xin Zhao's here. He's going to force that 2v2. But obviously if Xin Zhao would have been there, it might not have been the best play. But they're just going to try and look to make sure that this wave crashes. You want to make sure that wave crashes, obviously, so that you get the pushback into you. And then Sylas, I think, doesn't have flash, right? Yeah, I think Sylas burned flash. Fuck, I wish I could read any language other than English. I'm pretty sure Sylas doesn't have flash, and so when you push that wave in, it bounces back into you, and now you have another play you can set up, and your Alistar can then try and push, because they've got push bot now, and then they can make another play on the Sylas if they want to. And then that would translate obviously into a Rift, or into whatever play, but this is really good. Really, really good. So they're just going to base as Ryze in this case. Again, but you can just imagine how much value you're getting out of Darkseal. Even if you would have gotten 1 or 2 of those kills, you're still going to get a lot of value, but you can't really equate for if you're going to get assists or if you're going to get kills sort of thing. I do think Darkseal just has so much more value in this game though. So the wave doesn't bounce. The wave instead just comes in the middle. So in this point, ultimate's coming up in the next minute. You do have flash coming up. Flash advantage is really important to note, because now you can E, and if your E is ever on the Sylas, you have that flash W threat. And then Rek'Sai, if he's nearby, can come, can kill, can take, can love, sort of thing. Alistar is looking to push in that next wave. Now you could set up a number of plays here. Number one, if you're Ryze and you're playing competitive, you have a lot of different ways to do this. If you're also playing solo queue, you have a lot of ways to play this out. But we'll go in light of solo queue for the case that this is solo queue. Okay, so if Ryze is taking a look at bot side, and I think he should take a look at bot side in this matchup. I think he should be looking at what's going on, because if they're slow pushing this wave, then you have a really good opportunity to just head forwards towards bot side. Your Rek'Sai is already there. He could just go like this. Ryze could go like this as well. They can move together, and then even if like Raptors are up, they could take them, or if Krugs is up, they could take them. Sylas can't really follow. He's already too far behind, and you're going to be able to obviously dive the support or the AD carry, whose flash is just coming up, but I don't think against 4 people, especially with a huge amount of tempo. What was it? Maybe he's looking at another Twitch stream, whatever. I don't think it's going to give you too much value. But again, just pushing in this like this, I think, unless you're going to go maybe get a ward on Raptors, or Rek'Sai is going to, doesn't really want to. Okay, right here you know that Xin Zhao's topside, so they could make a play on bot. Okay, they could absolutely make a play bot, and they actually just were, I think. Yeah. Okay, so as soon as Sivir showed bot with no Yuumi, you want to take note of that. So Yuumi could be just like giving up on Sivir, but I think you have a lot of ways to play this out. Okay, so Azur's getting constant push, but Wukong's level 8 and has ultimate. I do think you guys could try and force Rift here if Alistar were to have moved and instead of looking to go and push in bot. Because again, Sivir versus Twitch, I think that Twitch is going to be happy just free farming and playing weak side, while we know that Xin Zhao's top side. All right, so we saw that he actually hit that that plant, so we know that's all going on. We know that for a fact that Yuumi, or so that Xin Zhao is up there. So they're pinging missing bots. They're pinging back off, back off, back off. So they do end up backing off, but Xin Zhao does get a flash. They're just going to trade flashes, nothing too worrisome there. Having no ultimate there is really important. Alistar should be pinging how much experience he has, because if Alistar is almost hitting 6, he can then try and rotate up towards topside. And Wukong's looking for an all-in. Is he going to die? We know that Xin Zhao could be Rift, or he could be going towards bot side camps, but I think seeing as Rek'Sai came from bot side, Xin Zhao might actually just look to be top. So Azure gets a kill. I think this is a bad decision from Ryze to do this. If you're going to go for Wolves here, I think you really have to know exactly where Xin Zhao is. This is a bad decision, because if Xin Zhao's topside, which he very well could be, because Azure just got a kill, so the chance of getting back into this game and trying to push the envelope, so to speak, with Wukong being dead, is to obviously take Rift. Now again, Sivir isn't showing bot. That could be for a number of different reasons, playing weak side obviously, but Twitch is coming up. Azure just got a kill. You have a numbers advantage. I think Xin Zhao just wants to push this. The reason why it's so important as well is because Rek'Sai was shown coming over the Raptors wall, which means that Raptors are probably taken, and if Xin Zhao takes that into account, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, wait a minute, we can just play topside. We don't really need to go to our bot side because they're already on cooldown. Okay? So I don't like this decision at all to take Wolves. Again, playing Rift is really important, I think. And helping your jungler out a little bit more. But maybe he wanted to play for Stridebreaker. So if we go back a little bit. Okay, he doesn't have Stridebreaker quite yet, Rek'Sai, so maybe he just wants to farm and not really fight until he gets that Mythic, which I think is also a very fine option. So if he's thinking about this, if DoinB is like, okay, wait a minute, I think he just wants to play for Stridebreaker, then whatever, let him, so be it. Alistar is coming up though, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine. At the end of the day, yeah, it's fine. Drag is coming up. Yumi shows mid. We don't really have too much of a base to buy. We can buy Kindle Gem and get that HP and the our Blasting Wand. We get the HP or the Blasting Wand. But we're just going to try and collect as much CS as possible. Could make a play on bot on Sivir here, but I don't think it's really that important. Sivir has flash up. It would be nice to get before the drag, but I don't think the pace is there to make this play. So at this point, they're going to try and set up some sort of pressure bot side, which is very nice. It's just that giving up pressure top again, Rift is open. But I don't think they're going to try and go for it right now. Yumi's on Sylas after all. So at this point, he's just really trying to collect as much CS as possible. They are on Rift. They see this, Alistar immediately comes back up. Now forcing this is super, super fast. I don't think this should end up working out. Yeah, Sylas popped that ult really, really late. This is awkward. I feel like if Xin Zhao just commits, yeah, Xin Zhao backs off because he's afraid that Wukong has that push. But I think if Xin Zhao just commits with the Sylas, this is just hard over. So making this play because it was, yeah, I don't like this play at all. Alistar is lagging behind. I think they just had to play it really slow. Xin Zhao was backing off. But in terms of how the Ryze played this out, I mean, I think it's fine. He's reacting towards a jungle pressure, even though his jungle pressure is kind of int, and he's trying to follow up. So I think this is fine by DoinB, trying to make sure that, you know, at the end of the day, his team, if they're going to int, he's going to int with them. That is something that you guys need to start doing. Because at the end of the day, some of the plays that your jungler tries to make are just going to be completely int. But if you don't help them, right? Unless you're really confident in your ability to carry, and you're really confident that, okay, wait a minute, I can move in on this game. This is me. I got this. Then maybe help them out in a very safe manner, sort of thing. He's just collecting waves. Wukong ends up dying. Kind of sucks a bit. Actually, so if you guys are playing out games and your jungler ints like this, as long as you're not going to die, and like, because Ryze still has flash in this case, as long as you're not going to die and you're not going to give up your lead because he's been CSing 10 CS per minute. He's relatively quite far ahead of the Sylas. As long as you're not going to give up your lead, I think it's fine to follow, even if your jungler's making a bad call. So help as much as you can, but know your limits, sort of thing, okay? So with Rek'Sai showing top side, he looks to go take his bot side camps. This helps Rek'Sai obviously a little bit because now you're going to put the bottom camps on reset timer. It only messes up a little bit in terms of the respawn timers with Wolves and Grump, but this does allow him to get Everfrost, which is very, very nice. Obviously, you do want to get as much gold as possible. And get your Everfrost and get your Mythic, get your Power Spike as soon as you can. Obviously, with Dragon coming up and Dragon being up, oh, so Wukong TP's top, and Ryze TP's mid to try and keep up pressure. So right now we're worried, right? We're worried where Xin Zhao is. He could be going top side, he could be going mid. Out of the two, I would say that, probably gonna go top side, because if a play happens mid, they probably will end up losing it. But as soon as Azure TP's top, yeah, as soon as Azure TP top, Wukong should get the hell out of there, because there's no way that that's not happening. So Wukong has to burn flash, if you just noticed, and actually ends up dying. That should never really happen. But as soon as Xin Zhao shows top, Ryze just puts the pedal to the metal and tries to pressure as much as possible, which I think is the best decision there. He's playing to try and punish, and they're actually going to try and look to dive. Do they get the dive? Yeah, they will. Yeah, he's just going to die. Yes, the play here was, as long as you know that as soon as Xin Zhao's top that you can make this play, then do it, right? Then try and start to play aggressively, but always make sure that you aren't going to get absolutely gangbanged by Xin Zhao or Yumi. But as soon as that TP comes top, I think it's safe to say that chances are they're actually going to go top. Okay, so they're probably going to get mid tower here. They get mid tower. He's just clearing bot side camps, and this is fine again because you're putting them on cooldown, and Rek'Sai is looking to clear bot side camps. Probably has a lot of gold to spend. Doesn't really want to spend the time, going straight towards his bot side camps. He's just going to clear. Other thing to note: if your jungler is someone who likes to full clear and is quite far ahead, you might not want to do this because those junglers might get mad at you. But again, if the jungler says no, just listen to them, okay? No point in pushing the envelope, so to speak, in solo queue. So pushing up, he has vision. One thing to note, especially if you are looking to base relative... Actually, no. Wait, what? Yeah, okay. So if you're looking to base relatively soon, he's just looking to collect waves as much as he can. If you don't have vision, okay? So he does not have vision top side. So he should be playing bot side pocket, hugging bot side as much as possible because he's got wards to play around pockets. You don't ever really want to die in this case, and against a Sivir and a Xin Zhao and a Yumi that can buff up and can look to pick you, it's really important just to, be as safe as possible, especially when you're looking to spend your gold, okay? But with him staying on the map right now, I do think skirmishes, it'll be fine to take because I think he's actually trying to look to just to wait as much as he can until he gets the full Seraph's Embrace. All right, the full Seraphs. The other thing here is they're trying to make a play with Ryze. Rek'Sai and Ryze are trying to make a play together, which I think is good. I think as soon as you see Sylas heading back towards bot side here, it's very optimal to try and pressure that as much as you can. Sylas shows bot. Oh, who placed another pink? They shouldn't have misplaced. They shouldn't have placed that pink. Yeah, okay. Alistair looked to place his pink up here, but that's really, really bad because now we don't know where Sylas rotates because they're ultimately trying to make a play on bot here, right? They're trying to make a play on Sylas, which is very, very good. There's no objectives up. We just saw a bunch of pressure topside, and so Sylas is playing weak side, so we can really just target the Sylas, okay? We even see Xin Zhao top. We see Yumi top. We see Sivir mid. We see Azure top. Okay. And then a fight breaks out. Okay. And now Sylas shows up here. And if we didn't place that pink up there, and instead we just placed the ward, we would be able to have a little bit more information. And now we're taking even numbered fights, and we have 1800 gold on our Ryze. Okay. We do end up getting this ahead. I do think we end up winning this quite hard. Yeah. Do end up winning this quite hard. Not too much else to talk about here. But again, staying on the map for so long with so much gold, goblining, so to speak, isn't the best idea, especially when you're so far ahead. You want to push your lead as much as you can. You want to spend your gold and make it and convert it into active gold. Because if you die when you're this far ahead, it's really, really bad. But at this point, this game is pretty much over. You've got Twitch. You got a lot of gold on Twitch. You've got a lot of gold on Alistar, on Ryze, on jungle. The only real person you can play around in terms of blue side here is Azure and Xin Zhao, which again is a lot to play around. Azure, as soon as you hit 2 to 3 items, you're turning into a monster, so to speak. And as soon as you hit those higher up in the levels, as soon as you get maxed out Q, and you're able to get a little more points in your W for some of the attack speed, it's very, very helpful to play around, okay? But at this point, Ryze can collect waves. The real only goal for the end of this game is just to try and, play towards your Rek'Sai. So if Rek'Sai is looking to make a play, look to make the play with them, okay? But at this point, I'm going to stop it there. There's a lot to talk about in terms of positioning and wave in the early laning phase, in terms of making game plans and following through with them. If you're taking Comet, you're doing it for a reason. You're not just taking Comet because I want to win lane. You're taking Comet because you need to win lane and get trades because you're going to be looking to be active. You want to make sure you're setting up dives. You want to play with your Rek'Sai. You want to play with your Alistar. There's a lot of different ways this game could have went. But that's going to be the first 15 minutes of this game. Hopefully learn something, and hopefully we can learn together from it. Thanks so much and cheers.